All right, part five. Since I'm having to take a break and upload these and then delete them from my phone before I make another one because I don't have enough space on my phone and don't have a camera dedicated to this. Um, Look, I'm a dad of a 14-year-old. I'm a husband of almost 20 years. I'm not a white knight. I'm out here because I came to realizations over many years that partly were built into the way I was raised, but also were counter to the way I was raised. And I'm worried that there's a monetary force moving through our culture that maybe it's starting to turn around. Like, it's 2026, so I think the peak was last year, the year before that, and this notion of a manosphere, of the idea of men re-embracing masculinity, of you know, asserting viewpoints with regard to women and what women are, can be, and should be, to lean into the title of the videos I've created so far. Stop, man. You don't have the right to that. Like, you as a dude do not have a right to tell me as a dude, or any woman as a woman or girl, whatever, who we, me, them, they, everybody is supposed to be, and who, you can tell us who you are. That's these videos. That's all I'm doing. I'm not telling you who you have to be, but I am telling you what you can't be, and somebody needs to do that. Like, I grew up in a moderately strict disciplinarian family, what it's actually based around, weirdly, is the fact that my family is, broadly speaking, on the spectrum, and that was not an understood phenomenon, situation, potentiality 50 to 80 years ago, or 30 years ago, hardly. And so it ended up with a dynamic of rigidity for a lot of us. And the weird thing, this is a real thing, it's a phenomenon that my wife and I have talked about a great deal, and I've talked more with other members of the family recently, is that in-laws who marry into the family tend to be the opposite. They tend to be non-neurodivergent, neurotypical people who are really easy to get along with, as opposed to many of us in the family who have strict, rigid thinking, strong ideas and feelings about things that we are very willing to assert and, say outright in any given situation. And I don't remember exactly where I was going with that, but when I was given strong notions of the way things were supposed to be, it was almost always from one of my blood relatives directly in my family, who was almost certainly neurodivergent. I am neurodivergent. My daughter is actually, she has been assessed and forgetting the medical phrase, but she's mildly autistic. Pretty sure I am. Haven't bothered to actually go to a doctor about that, but I know almost certainly many members of my family are, and the in-laws tend not to be. It's a weird dynamic. If you put all the in-laws in a room together, you get a really sweet group of people who can just have a nice, comfortable conversation. And you put us in a room together and you get just cat fight, dog fight, just arguments. This is a real thing. We used to call it, being a Taylor, but it's not just because of our last name. It's because of the way our brains are constructed. But these traditional values that I was raised with also were interwoven with the gospel of Jesus. And what that meant was that the words of Christ, the words in red for a lot of people's Bibles, were the biggest and most important thing. And if you think you are a traditional Christian male, American, Western, European, whatever, and you think that anything in the Bible entitles you to the time, attention, affection, adoration, service, or anything else from a woman, then you're not reading your Bible right. The Apostle Paul, who his words are not in red, my hair is wild. The Apostle Paul wished that all people might remain as he was, which is to say unmarried, single, and not afflicted with sexual desire. Paul expresses, without saying it in modern words, that he is essentially asexual in the name of the Lord, and he has no desire to give in to the need for affection between men and women. And he wishes that all people could be like him in that regard. And so don't put it on the Bible. This video is almost over. Do not put it on the Bible. You do not have a leg to stand on there. At least not on the New Testament. And we'll follow up probably some more in another video.